Hi, and welcome to another edition of Mike Finds Things, where I go out and find all sorts of cool records locally, wherever I can, mostly estate sales. And I did hit an estate sale this morning and found some great stuff. I also got another lot I'm picking up tomorrow morning from an online estate sale. I think I mentioned about it in the last video. I did win the 45 lot, so I'll be picking those up, so those will wind up in the next video most likely. As well as whatever else I find coming up in the next few days. So we're going to start. We got a lot of great no LPs this time. We got a lot of obscure stuff I've never seen, didn't know existed, and things like that. Got both 45s as well as 78. So it is late afternoon than I usually film, so I had to turn the camera a different way to get the sunlight a different way. So if you notice, it's a little bit different. I'm still on my porch, but I've turned the camera a different way. Also, be sure to like the video, subscribe, leave some comments about these records. It does help us with the algorithm and whatnot. And also check out my other channel, which is Mike Frankovich, where I do car shows, and Volunteer, which is my AI music channel, where I make songs that kind of sound like old songs using AI with like car premises, which, if you will. So check those channels out as well. We're going to go right into this. We got from 1953, we got an EP on Federal. This one's probably going to be a keeper. This one is Go 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 with Big J McNeely. 2 songs on each side, so 4 songs total. There's actually 2 different sleeve variations on this one that has different lists of the other songs on Federal. Unfortunately, the cardboard is coming apart on the sleeve, but the record is actually in really nice condition. Like I said, a nice EP on Federal. I do have, so Big J Shuffle I have, I believe, on a 78 already, and the Goof, I got a couple copies of that on 78 as well on Federal. But definitely a nice find to get the cool EP with the picture sleeve, which is actually heavy cardboard in these years. This one is on Discogs. I always quote Discog prices on these. So take it with whatever grain of salt. If it's from somewhere else, I'll quote that, because Discogs doesn't have everything. Also in 78s, Discogs prices usually aren't super accurate, but I usually give them anyway. So this one is sold for a low of 5, mid of 25, high of 55. I'm guessing the upper end is with the sleeve and not missing the sleeve. But definitely cool to find that cool Big J McNeely Jump Blues record. EP. I've never seen the EP in that before. Next one we've got, this is a really common one. So I got a few common ones, but we got a lot of really obscure stuff too. From 58, we'll go right through it. I picked it up because it was minty and it had the original dot sleeve. It's a rock and roller, low of 62 cents, mid of 2, high of 9, so nothing crazy value-wise. It is Susie Darlin' by Robin Luke. The B-side is Living's Loving You. Like I said, it's another one where I just picked up. It's common, but it's pretty dang minty, so I grabbed it. It's a song a lot of people know. It was popular on even getting to the oldies radio era. Another one that comes up a lot. This one's from 1956. This one I think we found a 78 copy like a couple weeks ago in the video, and I have another 78 copy as well. Another minty platters I picked up, nothing high value, but My Prayer with Heaven on Earth on the other side. That's just a UPS truck. It's later in the day. There shouldn't be any gardening or construction going on right now. In fact, there's been a lot of construction going on next door, which wound up in the last video, unfortunately. And I think the last 2 videos, they've been doing stuff for a while. Here's a 53 Doo-wopper. This one is low of 450. Mid of 9, high of 21. It's an okay copy. I wouldn't say it's minty, but it's pretty nice. It's a yellow label Atlantic, so early Atlantic from 53. Coming on by the Clovers. I always like to pick these up when I can. If they're in good condition, they're just a nice record to have. Nothing crazy value-wise or rarity-wise. Just cool to have that. We're gonna go back in. Okay, speaking of this is gonna be the most expensive record of this video, and it's been probably the most expensive one we found in a while. Now, usually when you find higher value records, usually they wind up being like a Northern Soul or on a 45, I should say. It's either usually a Northern Soul or maybe a garage or even like a rockabilly. We found rare rockabilly records on this channel. This one is actually a Mambo record that on Discogs has a low of $299, mid of $399, and a high of $499 sold prices. Voodoo by the Red Calendar Sextet on Hollywood Records. I'll check that out. So definitely a LA label. I play this one. It is actually a really cool song. And Typin' and Wonderin' on the other side. And I wouldn't say it's a minty copy, but it's pretty darn nice. Nice to find that. I should say this sale was kind of a weird one that popped up as a one-day sale. And then a lot of record guys I know showed up. I was the only guy going through the 78s and the 45s. No, a couple guys after me went through the 45s too. But I buy weird stuff. I know a lot of guys that hit the regular sales locally for records. One of my friends got a Hard Day's Night Beatles LP for like $5. But like I said, I went right for the 45s and the 78s. Let everybody play around with the LPs. Usually when I get LPs, it's usually a sale when hardly anybody shows up. Or if I get a record lot, that is. From 53, this one's like, I believe it's a Doo-wop, or it was on Jubilee. Low of 1 cent, so somebody sold it for 1 cent on Discogs. Like, why even bother? $2.99 is the mid, and the high of 15. Marie by the Four Tunes. No one not, I always like to pick up Jubilees because a lot of times they're doo-wop and whatnot. Some are rarer than other ones. That one's obviously nothing crazy value-wise. Just picked it up anyway. I will say that Mambo record, I took a chance. I saw the label. I said, okay, I've seen that label before. I knew sometimes it could be something interesting, and I didn't even I just don't have time to look all the stuff up that I don't know. And if it's cheap enough, you just take a chance. And that one I did well. This one I knew what it was. The condition's not the greatest, but it's not something I'm really going to come across regularly. From 1954, it's an R&B record on Flair Records, At Last by the Dreamers, featuring Richard Berry. And you might know that name, Richard Berry. He wrote and did the original version of Louie Louie and Have Love Will Travel. And he was also in the Flairs, which was also on Flair Records, and the other one's Louie Louie, and he was later on Flip Records when he did Louie Louie and Have Love Will Travel, which we've also found on this channel. B-side is Bye Bye, and I do have to mention At Last it's the song that's better known by Etta James. So it's that same song. Done with a male vocal by Richard Berry. This one has a low of 18, mid of 26, high of 34. It does play, but I don't know if it's even going to come through. But there are there's scratches and imperfections, but it does play all the way through. Not perfect, but cool to find. I might come up with a better copy of that eventually. You never know. Maybe even on 78. Who knows? And what year was that one from? Let me double check. 54. Yeah, that one's from 54. And that was later. It's like Louie Louie and the other one. Those were later in the 50s. This is another one that has a decent value to it. This one I took a chance because of I'd never seen this label before, so I said, why not? 61. It's a Bop Jazz on a promo copy. The promo copy is sold for $20. The non-promo has on Discogs. It only has one sold comp on Discogs on the promo. The non-promo has a low of 50, mid of 57, high of 65. So probably there's not that many of these in promo. It's on M&M Records, not the candy, and not the rapper either. It's F.A. by Tommy Jones on the tenor sax with his band. That's what that is. Got that label. It's kind of an interesting label. It's got like a diagram or something. And then on the other side we got I'm Glad There's You. They put a star on there. According to Discogs, F.A. was the A side, but looks like this was a DJ copy, so they put a star on the I'm Glad There's You side. So nice little find on a Bop Jazz. Not in terrible condition. Here's one we found a couple copies recently on 78. Now we found it on 45. I think in the last few weeks we found 2 copies of this on 78. Again, it's so minty I had to grab it. It's not a high value record. It's probably like a $5 record. It is Shake, Rattle, and Roll, Bill Haley and the Comets on Decca. Of course, we found that, I believe last week's video, we had the Japanese pressing ROCK and ABC Boogie on the B-side, same as the 78. And then speaking of records we found recently on 78 multiple times, we got another one, and I think I mentioned in the last video, this is a Shaboom by the Chords on Cat, but we got it on 45. And this one is the early version. Now, the later version has Little Maiden as the B-side. This is the early version with Cross Over the Bridge. So this was the first release. Then I guess when it hit big, they switched to Little Maiden for the B-side. This was 1954 record. We got another copy of Shaboom coming up in the video by the Crew Cuts on 78, which I've found those before. The Chords version is the superior version. It's the original version. This one has a low of 3, mid of 12, high of one of these is sold for $55. It must have been super minty. This one's pretty clean. As you can imagine, people like that original label. Of course, it's a very famous song from 1954. So the next one we got, this one another one I bought because of the label and I knew it would be good. From 55, it is a blues record, low of 5 on Discogs, mid of 25, high of 50. It's Geneva's Blues by Geneva Valier on Cash Records. So it's kind of a local label. Everything I've ever found on Cash Records has turned out to be something kind of cool. Plus the label's cool. It's got like a roll of cash there. I know some of them have like the money sign through the S too on some of their labels, and I've had their 78s too. And you said you had a woman. I got a woman. Oh, it's I Got a Woman, Ray Charles. So it's a version of I Got a Woman by Ray Charles. Geneva Valier on the other side. On Cash Records, a very nice copy. It looks like if it's been played, it's been barely been played. So I'd say that's probably towards the higher end of the value spectrum there. So I like to find cool stuff like that. We got another local label that we find quite a bit here and has also had national hits from 57. So it's got this one's got 2 different artists on it. It's a Doo-wop A-side and the B-side is an R&B instrumental. Has a value on Discogs. It might be worth more because it's I think it's more interesting than what the valuation is on Discogs. Low of 275, mid of 3, high of 550. And then when you look at how many people are looking for it versus how many have it, there's like way more wants than haves. So I always look at that when I look at the values too, because sometimes these records just don't pop up. It's on Duto Records, which is also Dutone. It's Too Late Now, the Cufflinks. We have a Dutone coming up. And we have the B-side is the Saxophone Rag by Kurt Kirkland and his band. So the Cufflink side is the Doo-wop side. Again, a very nice record. Doesn't look like it's been played much. So I'm kind of happy to have that. I don't believe I had that one in my collection. Here's one. I know I have this on 78 somewhere. It's pretty common. It's a well-known record. Low of 50 cents, mid of 5, high of 10 from 54. And we've got another Federal sleeve. We found another record with a Federal sleeve last week. This one's more common. It is the Midnighters before they were labeled as Hank Beller and the Midnighters. So it's the Midnighters, formerly the Royals, with Sexy Ways on Federal. A very nice copy. That's a very well-known song. And Don't Say Your Last Goodbye. Of course, later on they were billed as Hank Beller and the Midnighters. I said with the original Federal sleeve. So that is kind of a nice one to find. Again, a great R&B record, but it was a hit. So like I said, kind of a lower value on that one. But it's always good. I like to pick stuff like that up. Anyway, here's that Dutone. So they've got Duto and then there's Dutone. I think you find like Red Fox on there sometimes. You find this is probably the record you find the most on Dutone, and some of you probably know where I'm going already. And it's an early version where the B-side wound up later on being the A-side. And I think that's kind of a clue. So the A-side of this one is the Penguins with Hey Senorita, and it even says A on there. And the B side was a little record called Earth Angel. So, and then of course Earth Angel hit it big, and then later on it was no longer the B side of the record. So I believe this to be an earlier pressing, especially with all the other records I found with it. This one has a low value of 2, mid of $10, and a high of 50. I'm guessing because of it's obviously a very well known song. Now for something just completely different. This was in the same pile, and it's completely different. This guy's records were all over the place. We got from 1976 a rock record. I bought it because it was clean, and people like this stuff. Alice Cooper, I Never Cry, and Go to Hell on the other side. I'm not gonna, excuse me, not a very high value record. I got like a dry throat today for some reason. That one is Go to Hell, Alice Cooper. Don't go back in the sleeve. Find all this like early doo-wop and R&B stuff, and then we find Alice Cooper. That's how these sales go. The other one we all know what it is, but it's more in keeping with that era that we were already in. Too Much by Elvis Presley on an RCA Victor. Again, not a high value record, playing for keeps, but a minty copy of an Elvis. So I always grab when they're cheap, because everybody likes the king. Let's see here, what do we got? From 55, unfortunately it has a melted spot, but I'll show you the record anyway. So the record's kind of ruined. Looks like somebody maybe, like a heat source, maybe even, I don't think it's a cigarette burn. It might be a cigarette burn. Got close to the record, maybe like dropped their ashes on it or something. 55 is an R&B. Normally it would have a low of 1, a mid of 8, and a high of 30. I would say it's probably not worth anything because of the burn on it. Still, I got it. The Spiders, I'm slipping in on Imperial. Unfortunately, like I said, there's the burn spot. It plays, but it's just, I wouldn't play it too much. And actually the burn came through the other side, if you look. As I'm searching on the other side. So like I said, I'm going to put that aside because it's not something I would play or sell when I do get around. I'm probably going to be selling some records this summer. Maybe some duplicates of things I have. Here's one I took a chance on because of the label, and I realized I think I'd already found these before. From 62, it's a pop / doo-wop record. Low of 1, mid of 2, high of 10. On Caprice Records, we got Cry Baby Cry by the Angels. It's a girl group. And then we got That's All I Ask of You on the B-side on that one. So that was like a bigger hit, I believe, so it's kind of got a lower value. Here's one it's labeled on disco as an unofficial release, which usually means it's a bootleg. So I'm guessing this was like a lowrider oldie thing, similar to like the East Side Story records. It's not the greatest shape. In fact, it's a little scratched up. Normally this is a low of 24, mid of 25, high of $40. So Sabor Army by El Chicano on one side on Blackjack Records. And then the other side is He'll Be Back by the Players. Not Player, it's not Baby Come Back, it's He'll Be Back. Some of you guys will get that. Not Baby Come Back, it's He'll Be Back by the Players. Player was Baby Come Back. All you yacht rock fans, so there's that one. Again, I believe that's a bootleg that they put out probably for, I'm guessing it might be a local Southern California thing or something. So this is our final 45 before we get to the 78s. This is one we found before, being in Southern California, find a lot of surf records. This one does pop up. Low of 3, mid of 6, high of 8. Again, a good budget surf record. Everybody's getting into surf music. It's the 4 Speeds with My Stingray on Challenge. And the other side we got RPM. So I've found those many times before. Probably was very popular locally. Obviously, I'm in Southern California, and if you watch my videos for a while, you know I find a lot of surf. But I have a lot of people watch that video on the record lot from a couple weeks ago. So a lot of new people on the channel, so welcome to the channel. I kind of thought, oh, that one's gonna do well. I just knew it would. And it has a lot more common stuff, I guess, or stuff that it was a little. The records, since I bought out a whole lot, were a more wider range and not really focused more on stuff like we usually find. Uh, Here's a great one for me. I think my allergies are kicking up. Here's a great one for me. We got, this is an interesting record I did not know existed. Found this there, and apparently it does really well. If you find it, it's very rare. It's Hot Rod Harry on Hot Rod Records. And you're like, now, I picked it up because obviously I'm a car guy and I see Hot Rod. And come to find out, this was put out by Hot Rod Magazine, and it says Hot Rod Cowboy. And this one is actually done by Joe Derensborg and his Flat Out Five, and the vocalist is Scatman Crothers on this one, on both sides. Hot Rod Magazine commissioned this. You could order this record. The only way you could buy it was to order it, mail order, through Hot Rod Magazine. So they're kind of rare now. This one's in very nice shape. Both sides play very well. I'm definitely keeping this because, you know, obviously I'm a car guy and I film a lot of car shows, including I go do events put on by Hot Rod Magazine. And this one, I guess they did. I found 2 releases they did like this. It was done by Colossal, and it was also released under the Colossal label, which are more common. I know the Colossal version goes for about $50, so I'm guessing the Hot Rod's quite a bit more, especially with it being a Hot Rod Magazine collectible as well as a record collectible. So that's kind of neat. That one I'm definitely hanging on to, though, because I'll never see that one ever again. All right, so I had to adjust the camera there to hopefully get the light. We're running out of light, being late in the day, and I thought it's a good time. My kid's actually at her school dance for the end of the year right now. So I said, let's knock this one out. Here's that other Shaboom. This is a 1954 Doo-wop. 153, mid of 6, high of 20. This is that's a really minty copy of the Crew Cuts Shaboom on Mercury. So the remake. And I spoke too soon on the B-side. I grabbed it because it was such a minty copy, and obviously it's still something people like or want. I said I would look for that chords version though before before that one, or own both. It's not, I own both. It's not a big deal. I own a lot of records that I own 2 versions, but like I said, I do prefer the chords version. Here's one from 53. I don't have a value on this one. Honking Away, the Blues Express Orchestra on Gem Records. We got, hopefully this guy turns his music down. Okay, apparently he wasn't happy enough that I'm making a video here, so he has to drive, especially in a residential neighborhood. This neighborhood's weird for noises. Honking Away, the Blues Express Orchestra on Gem Records. This one's a Jump Blues Records with Mush on the other side. Again, very nice condition-wise on this. I was really happy. I did not expect to find stuff this morning. I literally got to the sale. I was talking to some of my friends who are into records, of course, mostly LPs. And those guys were like, yeah, we're not. The pictures didn't look that great. We thought there's not going to be much going on. Another one, not really high value. I've never found anything on this label that was anything crazy. It's on X Records, which I thought was a great label, like for something, but it was only done in the 50s. 1955 jazz record. We got Richard Maltsby and his orchestra, High Tide Boogie. So I think I found the values and it wasn't much. And Jumpin' Trumpets on the other. And we just thought, man, X Records, they should have resurrected that and made it like a garage label or something. Because it was owned by RCA, I guess. And we just thought that should have been like their rock and roll label more than anything. Of course, that was the 50s. Here's one from 51. It's an R&B record. We found Johnny Otis quite a bit. This one's a low 5, mid of 11, high of 17. It's Headhunter, Johnny Otis Orchestra on Regent. I found a lot of these in this guy's collection. For some reason, he put a line through the, he wrote a marker through the record company name. I don't know why. And Cool and Easy on the B side. But a lot of them are in really nice shape. I had to clean a lot of them. It was almost like had like a grease or a film on them. They all cleaned up pretty nice. So that was kind of a nice find. And we do have another Johnny Otis coming up here, probably in a few. Oh, it's right here. I'm holding it in my hand. Okay. This one has a value of 13 on Discogs. Again, Discogs 78 prices. Take it with a grain of salt. 1952. Gonna Take a Train. Yeah, because like I said, a lot of 78 guys will not use Discogs, and it ain't the beauty because they're afraid of sellers. They'd rather use sellers that they know deal in 78s quite a bit, know how to package them, since they break extremely easily. If anyone who has 78s knows, these things, like, you look at them the wrong way and they break in many cases. I mean, I don't know how many times I've gone to sales and like the best records were the broken ones. Now we're getting some weird light. Yeah, I need to find a good time of day to film these things where there's no construction, no gardening, and nobody driving by with stereos. I don't think I'm going to ever find it. I have to go to the park and film these. Like the guy hearing a bunch of old 78s in the park, ready to film a video. This one's from 54 on Groove Records. It's a blues record. I just found one that they're asking $5 for on eBay, and nobody's grabbing. Miss Peaches, Colin Moody Field on Groove Records. Again, he drew a line through the record company name. I don't know why. And there's the other side. It's the continuation of the same song on the B side. So nothing crazy value-wise there. Here's one I cannot value. I can only find it on a different label called Swing Time. But the video of this record on YouTube shows this label. It's from 1951 on JMC record. Yes, with a line through it. JMC, always a hit. Rockin' Man by Jimmy McCracken. It's a blues record. So it is on YouTube. You can actually look up. There's a video of it. And I Am Tired. So the one on YouTube shows this label. Very nice shape. Other than the guy took a marker and drew a line through the name of the record label, which I don't know why you would do that. I suppose it's better than putting an address label across it. Here we go. Only shows the 45 exists on Discogs on this one. I don't have a value on this one. I don't even know what year it is. The 45 didn't even show the year. It's It's a jazz record. Trudy Richards, Tain't Nobody Business If I Do, and it's a DJ copy. Yeah, which is probably, maybe there were a lot more DJ copies. And Sugarloaf Junction on the other side. I'm guessing that might be part of the reason. Maybe they were only released to DJs, or they didn't do like a wide release on it. This happens sometimes. But kind of a neat jazz record on Derby. Derby puts out a lot of interesting stuff if you find a lot of jump blues and things like that on that label. Oh, this lighting's terrible. So we're just gonna press on through here. I've like adjusted the camera 3 times now. Here's another one. We find this one a lot, but I haven't found with the dot label. 1951 Jump Blues record, The Honey Dripper, Part 1 and 2, Joe Liggins and his Honey Drippers, and Part 2. Usually you find this on the exclusive label. It's a great jump blues record. Actually, was a big hit, which is why there's so many versions. In fact, we found a copy of it on Specialty a couple videos ago. It was last video. A few videos ago, we did find it on Specialty, but on that it was as a B-side to another song. But cool Joe Liggins record. Like I said, I never had the dot label one. This one, somebody's asking. Okay, at eBay asking prices are taken with an extreme grain of salt. A lot of times these guys put these records on there and they don't sell, and they go for the moon on their prices. I found one that somebody's asking $199 for. This one's pretty minty. 52 blues record, Keyhole Blues by Eddie Mack. This is actually a great record. I was playing this one earlier. There's that on Savoy. And 7 Day Blues on the B side. And again, the guy drew a line through the name of the record company. I don't know why. Maybe it was like something in his brain. He had to draw one single line through every record company name on the records. Maybe it was something to denote that he checked it in. It could have been anything. It could have been like a DJ thing. This one's one I have not found another copy with this label variation. I found it has 11 halves and 38 onths on Discogs. There's a guy on Amazon asking $400 for one of these, which again, that's an asking price, and sometimes they're reaching for the moon on that. And I cannot find another one with this particular label variation. This one is, oh, and this was also covered by The Clash. Yes, the punk band The Clash. It's James Wayne's with Junko Partner. It's actually a blues record. And I even like Googled it and everything. I looked up all the images. I can't find anybody else that has the same, exactly. It's the same label, Sitting in Records. The other one has like a big saxophone on it, the one I see. And trying to find a girl. And I can't find another one with this label variation, except there was one in the stack with that same label variation. So I got them both. So what's it worth? Who knows? It's a cool blues record. In fact, the Clash version is like reggae. You know, Clash did some of those like reggae-ish songs. And it was on the Sandinista album. But Junko Partner. So it's about a guy who's wasted all the time. Really cool blues record. It's appeared on like different compilations, I guess. But like I said, interesting to find a weird label variation that nobody else has, and then there's two of them. So these things happen sometimes. When you keep looking for records, you find some interesting stuff. Here's one I bought because the label looked interesting. Turned out to be really nothing. 52 jazz record. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. The Shelly Man Septet on DG Records, not BG. This isn't disco. And we got Deep People, not Deep Purple. So, and on the other side. Sorry, it's not Deep Purple. It's been a while since we had any Deep Purple on this channel. I know we found it before, but here we go. Here's a Jimmy Liggins on Specialty, early Specialty Jump Blues record from '48. Couldn't find a value on this one. Move Out Baby. It's kind of weird. This guy had like really interesting records and then stuff that really isn't look-upable. Rough Weather Blues. It's on that early Specialty. Of course, the later one has the white, black, and yellow label. This one looks like it's had hardly any play. Again, couldn't peg a value on that one. I know people like the values. I did one video once where I didn't put the values and people complained. So I try to find these values. 78s, I always give a disclaimer. You can always look them up if you're really interested. Try to find out what people are asking for these. Another Liggins. We got Joe Liggins, Down Home Blues on Dot. Somebody's asking $10 for one of these on Discogs, and I can't find any sold comps. And the original Tanya on the B-side on Dot Records, early Dot label. The yellow one, the yellow label. Okay, got a few more 78s to go through. This one has one sold comp on Discogs for $60. So who knows what condition it was in. From '55, it's a blues record on Peacock. It is The Fish with Willie M. Thornton with Bill Harvey's orchestra. That's The Fish. It played fine. I played it earlier. Laugh, Laugh, Laugh on the other side. I always like to pick up Peacock labels. They did a lot of nice like R&B style records, stuff like that. Here's another one. This is a blues from 1953. I can find one. Somebody's asking $10 for one of these. This one, the record's in good shape. The label is a little worn out for some reason. This one is Papa with an exclamation point by Benny Brown on Gotham Records. And if you're wondering, it is the same song that Ruth Brand did called Mama with all the genders reversed. So it is the same song. And Slick Baby is the B-side. That side, the label has taken a little wear over the years. For 53, a great blues record. And this isn't really, like I said, most of the 78s were in really nice condition, which I'm very, very happy about, because a lot of these are ones that you're not likely to come across anytime soon in the future. Next one, this is our last record of the video. It's from 1946, an R&B swing record on Apollo. Apollo is another great label to find. Only has one sold comp on Discogs at $12.75, so it's really hard to peg a value off of that. I've Got a Gal, Louis Russell and Orchestra. Like I said, R&B vocal by the band on this one. That's a label out of New York. They did a lot of R&B and jazz and stuff like that. Again, he drew a line through the label name. And I think this was actually the A-side, was the 1280 Jive on Apollo. Some great 78s this time, and we got some great 45s. I said next week, hopefully I'll have, I'm going to hit a sale tomorrow morning. I don't know what I'm going to find yet. It could be nothing. It could be something. But I do have that record lot I have to pick up tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, so that'll probably be the next video. And I do know there's some Northern Soul in there. I don't know exactly how many 45s are there, but I blew up the pictures before I did any bidding. There was a couple interesting Northern Soul records in there. So that should be a good one. As always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment on some of these records, and until next time, I'll be seeing you.